Hello. This is a Squier J Mascis Jazzmaster. There are many of these in the world. This one is mine. I picked it up in early 2014. The serial number is a 2013. And I've really enjoyed this guitar a lot. As people say, the beautiful thing about these things are the necks, which are glorious and wonderful. And it has been a lot of fun to have. However, while most people do quite enjoy the pickups, I've never quite felt super comfortable with them. It's not that they're bad, I just never quite seem to get the sound that I'm looking for out of them. I get good sounds, just not necessarily the ones that I want at the time. Probably a lot of that is on me. But I thought, you know what, given that I love the bones of this guitar, it's beautiful, comfortable to play, very comfortable to hold and to handle, I have picked up some of the brand new Fender CuNiFe WideRange humbuckers, which they've designed to fit in a Jazzmaster out. Now, Fender are not the first to do this, not by a long shot. Many of the boutique makers have been making them to fit into Jazzmaster pickups. A lot, obviously, due to the influence of Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo of Sonic Youth, who famously put regular WideRange humbuckers into their Jazzmasters. But these ones are made with CuNiFe, they're made by Fender, and I happened to pick up a set. Not cheap, but I figured, you know what, I love this guitar this much, I want to see if I can make it the best guitar it can be for me. And as part of that, one of the things that we fell in love with was Fender's actual demo of the WideRange pickups with Lemo playing and the sounds that he was getting out of the Jazzmaster with the WideRange in it really sold me pretty heavy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try installing these. I'm going to record some clips with both pickups and do a bit of A/B comparison as well, just because as far as I can see, there's not a huge amount of information about these out at the moment, at least certainly direct comparisons. Now, these, if you didn't know, are not standard Jazzmaster pickups. They act more like P90s. They've got adjustable pole pieces, which a regular Jazzmaster pickup would not have, and there is a bar magnet underneath them. So yeah, essentially a P90 in a Jazzmaster bobbin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out, put in the new ones, and then we'll have some of those A to B comparisons afterwards. I don't know if this is going to be the most objective and greatest test, not least of which, as you can see right now, I've still got the original pickups in here, so I haven't done the swap and listened to the new pickups yet. But because I'm pulling sounds for it now, and I want to try and keep the same settings for after, when I put the new ones to the test, that the settings probably aren't optimized for those pickups. So there's a little bit of me which is wondering how good they're going to sound with the same settings that I'm using to get the sounds for this, because I've sort of dialed them in to work with these pickups. And also, because I'm going to have to take off the bridge, it's going to maybe be a slightly different setup. I have to put new strings on. I'm not going to keep the old ones. These are quite old now. Yeah, so look, it's not going to be a super perfect comparison, but I think it still has some potential interesting comparison. Has some merit to what we could possibly find out about these pickups. Again, there's not much out there at the moment as I record this. The rest of the guitar is stock. I am going to upgrade the wiring. I have got some new pots and wires and a new jack and potentially a new switch, because this did actually flake out on me a few years back. The bridge and the tailpiece, the vibrato piece, are as original, which on the Jazzmaster means it is still an adjustomatic bridge. I do ideally want to change it, if nothing else, just to get something that maybe matches the radius of the fretboard a little bit better. But right now, that's a whole palaver of figuring out what's going to work with the 9.5-inch radius that is a direct swap over. If the pickups are great, then it may be worth, yeah, looking at mastery, stay trim, all that kind of stuff, and putting the money into that. But for now, this holds tune for the most part, and it works fine. The vibrato, similarly, I know it's not the best unit that is out there, but it works enough for what I use it for, which is the occasional little thing. The only thing, of course, on these ones is because there's no indentation in the arm on the collet, they are particularly prone for falling out. All going well, this is actually going to come up on tour up north with me for a gig, and so I can also have a bit of a real-world test with it in a few weeks' time. So let's get to work, and I will start installing some pickups. So I won't make you watch me do the whole thing, but I've just sped up some footage here of me going. You can see me opening the package. We've got the pickups, we've got some foam strips for the suspension, and we have the wiring diagram. If you want the wiring diagram, you can find that on the Fender website. One of the biggest dramas on doing this was actually dealing with all of the screws. Jazzmasters have an awful lot of screws to get them in and out, and because unlike a Strat, the pickups are mounted to the body, you've then got to kind of undo everything to be able to get it and everything. And I found, honestly, you know, it seems like a bit of a step back in some ways because you've got to know where the wires are going to run within the cavities when you're putting everything back together, but that's a problem for future me. The pickups are not mounted to the pickup covers, as I believe is pretty standard for Jazzmaster pickups. It does present a few problems to me later on when I'm trying to line them up and get them mounted, but that's okay. I've basically just chopped everything out because I'm going to be replacing the electronics anyway. But my first big problem was that when Fender have put these in here, they haven't actually given them a bridge or a neck marking. The only thing is you have on it is we have a red dot on the one pickup and we have a blue dot on the other. I took the DC readings with my multimeter and they were pretty close, about 0.6K apart, around the 10K mark. I think 9.6 and about 10.2 to figure out which was the neck and which was the bridge. The other problem that I was facing was that, well, not a problem, but on the wiring diagram, we've got a white hot and a black for ground coming out of the pickup. But if you actually have a look at the wiring, we've actually got red hot and black ground and a shield as well. Now, you know, it's not too hard to figure out, but if it's, you know, your first time doing something like this, it could possibly be a little bit confusing as to which pickup's going to go where, and where the wires are going to be going if you're following them by color style. I did not trim the pickup leads, and I probably could have even, you know, just for, you know, safety's sake, I have just sort of stashed the wire in there. I know that's not best practice, but at the same time, when I've put this much money into these pickups, yeah, I want to be able to have the possibility of, if I don't get along with them or they're just not quite for me, then, you know, I want to give whoever might have them next the best shot at doing whatever they want to do with them. You can see Mike Adams, aka Pusheen, in the background there on my phone, providing some moral support for redoing a Jazzmaster. I've got some new Godot pots which I've put in, and along with the wiring. The Godot pots are good, however they are both linear taper, so I've not got very much control over the volume. Sadly, I do want to replace that at some point, but I'm not somebody to ride the volumes too much, so it doesn't matter to me too greatly about doing that. So in the end, everything more or less went together. It was a few headaches of figuring out wiring and stuff. The other thing I had to figure out was how to do the foam. As you can see on the old pickups on the left, they've just got the strips attached to the pickups left and right. I've only got single strips, and you can in fact see me here trying to find out, do you attach the foam to the body or to the pickup? Most of the things I found, I think, suggest that you want to actually have it in the cavity, so it's not like going to degrade on the pickup itself. I figured out that I could wedge the foam between the pole pieces on the humbucker style with the sticky side facing down, and then put it in once the pick guard's back in place to have that perfectly placed where it needs to be. And then, yeah, everything's wired in, they work, and then it's just the very, very long process of putting all the screws back in place, putting the bridge back on, and then making sure that we've got action correct, checking the intonation's all good, and then after that going through and doing the adjustment of the pickup heights, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, this took me, you know, probably about 4 or 5 hours all up, given that I'm a relative novice at this and I was doing a lot of stuff like cleaning the guitar, giving it a setup. Anyway, here's some sound samples. Right, and pickups have been changed over. Am I happy with how they sound? So far, yeah. I've only had one rehearsal. The gigs that were supposed to happen unfortunately got cancelled, so I haven't had a chance to put these out in a gig situation yet, but hopefully soon. Setting this up is a bit of the moment. We're at an intermediate phase at the moment. I'm just trialing it out and seeing how things work. By all accounts, CuNiFe WideRange humbuckers are notoriously a bit fickle to get them set up optimally. Telinator, who was the first person, I think, to be making CuNiFe WideRanges in the 21st century, has a good post that they did, which explains the best way of setting them up. And following that guide, my pickups have ended up, the neck is on quite a slant to get the treble pieces, pole pieces away from the treble strings, just to try and keep the neck a bit more balanced. The bridge is pretty parallel to the string course there, but I'm absolutely liable to kind of play around with this and see how it goes, particularly again, once I've had more chance to sort of take it out in the real world and through real amps. But so far, I'm pretty happy with them. Are they worth the money? I hope so. And if I do really like how they're sounding in the future, I will look at upgrading the bridge to something which might be one of the Mustang style bridges, whether that's an actual Mustang bridge or stay trim or whatever. Needs a little bit of work to make it work with the Adjustomatic posts, but and the things, but it's doable. And I might try to do the Mike Puisheen Adams trick to hammer in the end of the tremolo arm, sorry, vibrato arm, to try and help keep it in place because it's very prone to falling out. What's going to come next? Well, obviously I want to try some rehearsals and I want to try some gigs to see how these work in the real world and in a band context. But also, as I said earlier, these sound samples that I'm doing today aren't really indicative of what these are capable of doing, but they are more to compare to the original pickups because I haven't tweaked the settings for the sounds that I've done. I've just gone straight 1-to-1 so that you can compare what it's like to do one. Because a lot of people have one of these J Masics Jazzmasters, and if they're curious about what it's going to sound like with the CuNiFes in, this will give you a starting comparison to see how it's going to shift. But I think I'm going to do maybe some more samples soon once I've got this dialed in a bit, and get some sort of optimal sound clips for anyone who wants to hear them. If you want to hear them, let me know in the doobly-doo thingy comments, whatever. And yeah, thanks for listening. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you very much. If you have any questions, please, again, shoot them in the comments and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. Yeah, these things are still pretty new out there, so yeah, hopefully the more information we share, the better we are for you all are. Thanks very much for listening. See ya.